Hey, what's going on, guys? Got a quick one here for you. Parasitic draw testing, things to watch out for. Always. I learned this the hard way working for the dealer. We had a customer ended up getting fired because she had a Nissan Frontier that kept basically going dead on her. And every single one of us technicians that was working on it at the dealership, the very first thing we did was plugged in a scan tool, pulled codes, no relevant codes stored, pulled the scan tool back off. But what we didn't realize is we were unplugging the problem. That was the problem the whole time. Long story short, she ended up trading in that Nissan Frontier, bought a Nissan Kicks, a brand new one, and had the exact same issue. Same problem she was having with the Frontier, parasitic draw, battery's dead overnight. And same thing, brought it in, tested. Nobody could figure it out. Nobody could solve it. Finally, after she ended up getting fired from her job because she'd missed so much work, we finally, it was legitimately the third or fourth time it had been in, one of the technicians finally didn't pull codes, and it ended up being it was a stinking tracker that was plugged in. And what had happened with the Kicks is they had actually pulled it, the salesman, when he was helping her transfer all of her stuff over to her new car, he had actually transferred the problem from the old car to the new car and ended up costing her her job because of that. So something to watch out for. And just remember, these trackers are pretty sneaky. So when you're running your parasitic draw test, mine ended up coming back to the OBD2 port. I'll show you that OBD2 port. So there's the port right there, but that's not where this was plugged in. You see, most OBD2 ports on modern vehicles are this color. See, but this has a jumper wired in, which actually isn't a jumper, it's actually a Y, so that they can hide the tracker up inside of the vehicle without you knowing it's in there. So this is a very simple fix. It's a pain to find them, but if you get a parasitic draw, always keep this in mind, especially because this is about the fourth or fifth one that I have found in the last 6 months that it's been doing this, where they just paid the car off and then all of a sudden they have a parasitic draw. You would almost think they were doing that shit intentionally to get you back into the dealership to go buy another car. I tell you, you just can't trust anybody in this world. Anyways, so that's what it ended up being. Something to watch out for. They're not always on the OBD2 port. Sometimes they are hacked into the wiring system. Crawl under the dashboard, see if you've got an aftermarket tracker on it. And if you think your car's clean, you don't have any trackers on it, anything, always make sure to test them, because what I can tell you from experience, just in the amount of cars that I own, that Mustang had a tracker on it, was causing a parasitic draw. That one was actually on the passenger side, which is where I believe it was either the gem module or the body control module. But it's a fuse panel. It might even have been a smart junction box. But it was on the passenger side. I had a tracker on that thing from when it had been bought from a buy here, pay here years and years ago. And even the guy I bought it from said, hey, this thing has a parasitic draw. We've had it tested. Nobody has ever been able to figure out what it was. So after about 4 or 5 hours of me running parasitic draw tests, and mostly because I kept messing up and activating components and then having to start the test all back over and waiting the 20 minutes to, well, that Subaru, an hour waiting for that thing to all the modules to go asleep, that's what it ended up being. My 350Z, same thing, had a tracker on the driver's side. That one did not have a parasitic draw. And then, what else? My Armada, that one had a tracker on it. The Suburban had a tracker on it, and nothing I put on them. These were all second, third, fifth, 16th hand, whatever, that I'm the one buying it now. And I have run into that issue on so many vehicles. So if you don't think you have a tracker on your vehicle, you might need to recheck your stuff. Usually they're fairly obvious because they look like an absolute rat's nest. The aftermarket wiring, when they're not this style, you'll see a bunch of this type of crap. And the manufacturer very rarely ever actually uses legit zip ties. They've got way cooler connectors and way cooler harness retention systems. So it's very rare that you'll ever see this kind of stuff in a factory vehicle. The one exception being on the Armadas. In fact, that's right. I did not have a tracker on the Armada. I thought I had one, but there was actually a recall that was done that installed an inline harness on the BCM that looks almost identical to many trackers. In fact, they've even scrunched all the wires up together and then wrapped the thing in electrical tape when they plug in the harness, and it looks aftermarket. It does not look anything factory original, but something to be aware of on those, in particular the Armadas, is they had a recall that replaced a harness underneath the dash, but something to be aware of. Hopefully this helps you guys out. After that nightmare with that lady with the Frontier, I have stopped pulling codes from modules on everything. If I'm running a parasitic draw test, I'm testing it exactly as it is brought to me. Another common thing that you'll run into is anything that has a power back door, or anything that has a back door, not necessarily a trunk, but actually, you know, a proper hatch, not on something this old, not on an old Focus, but like the Armada, newer Nissans, you know, whatever, a Subaru Tribeca, Ford Escapes, Explorers. I found this many times where sometimes it's just the rubber mat in the back is actually either caught in the door, or there is so much, I'll call it stuff in the back of a trunk, you know, be it a hoarder or just be they're moving or they're in between houses or whatever, and they've got a bunch of stuff packed in the back that is preventing that back door from fully latching. That will cause a parasitic draw as well through the back door module. So a couple things hopefully will help you out with this. Have a great one, you guys, and best of luck on your parasitic draw testing.